So now they're rolling.
So now all the cameras are rolling, yeah.
So you can cut all the shit out we're talking about right now.
This just feels really awkward. I don't know why.
Oh, don't worry, I'll not be awkward. Can I swear?
Yeah, you can swear. You can say what you want.
Okay.
I don't mind. I don't.
Fuck you.
That's gonna be the start of it. Right, hello and welcome to another Let's Talk. Now today's episode is a bit different. We've had some sports influencers, we've had counsellors and therapists, we've even had porn stars, but today it's a bit different and a little bit more special because today I actually know the guest beforehand. Today I'm joined by Callum Fletcher, who I know previously from working with The Arena. Hi Callum, how are you doing?
Hi Joe, I'm okay. Yourself?
I'm not too bad.
Good.
So you're here today to talk to us about sort of sports and motivation, how that helps people. How has sports helped you in the past few years, especially through this last year of pandemic?
I think with sports, it's a different aspect of life altogether. I mean, we all work, we all sort of have our family time, but sport for me is just like a huge escape.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't even want to say escape really, because it's not even like you're trying to hide behind anything. Sport as a team, working with guys or even girls as a group, it's just like it's next level. Like to be able to do that and have those moments with other people, it's like it's really nice. It's quite magical at times. And I mean, I play football. That's my sport. And playing with the guys I play with now, they're all like similar ages to you, so they're a little bit younger than me.
Mm-hmm.
Show my age. They're a little bit younger than me, and then they're about like early 20s, 21, 22. So when I was 21, 22, I didn't really have the focus that I have now.
Mm-hmm. More naive.
Yeah. 100% more naive. Didn't understand really what. I mean, this is not elite level sport, but
yeah.
You can make whatever you want from it. So this is just amateur level football, right? But if you're not
5-a-side or 11-a-side?
11-a-side. Well, I mean, I'd do anything. 11-a-side, 7-a-side, 5-a-side, 1-a-side, 1v1 the guard right now. Me and you, if you want. No, but all seriousness, it's not that level. It's amateur level. But if you can make that whatever you want. So for me, I'm just extremely competitive. So it doesn't matter if it's like I say. If me and you, if you said, "Oh, let's have a go in the garden right now,"
you'd be there.
Bro, I'm there. I'm dying to win. You think I'm joking? I can't lose. I don't want to lose. And people, a lot of people say, "Oh, how do you cope with that?" Like, it's actually quite like, I don't want to say toxic, but it's hard. It's hard because there is times that you do get beat. There is times you do lose, and being this way and being quite openly competitive. When someone beats you and they know that you're competitive, they love to let you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like if there's times I've been beaten, like if it be so like training, even within the team when we train, if we do a game at the end of training, we do 7, 8 aside, and if we get beaten training or my side gets beaten training, I'm not talking to anybody. I'm not
holding a grudge.
I go home and I'm like, I still live at home with my parents. I go home, I get a shower, I go to bed. I don't want to talk to anybody. I've been beat. I can't, and that's just the way I am. I can't help that. And people will laugh and they'll say, "Oh, you joke." I'm not.
Do you let the other side know that you are competitive and you do want to win?
I think it's just how I conduct, like how I am. So if I'm playing, so in a game or in training, it's exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me wrong. In training, I probably will be a little bit more careful to not hurt anyone because obviously it's team.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that I actively try to hurt anybody when I play. I'm not saying that. Yeah, I'm not violent. But to train, and the guys know how I am on a Sunday when we play, they know that if I'm not winning, I'm not accepting it.
Mm-hmm.
So they know I'm exactly the same when I train. So to say that I let them know that I'm competitive, I'm not openly saying, "Oh, I'm extremely competitive."
Yeah.
Although I'm sitting, saying that. But just by how I am, like how I conduct myself. So if we warm up, or if we warm up, I'll lead it. I'll take charge. I'm sort of demanding, and I quite like. Sometimes people think I'm nagging and really getting on at them. I am.
But you just want to do the best, especially if you're doing just training with your team. You want them to perform as well as you want.
Yeah. So and that's why like I talked about their age and stuff, and that was probably when I was their age. I probably was a little bit like them, but. I always think I would never ask them to do something that I wouldn't do.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean now, so we haven't played in over, I don't know what we in now. We haven't played in like 8, 9 weeks now. Maybe it's coming up to like 2.5, 3 months. And I'll go out, man. I'm like running 3, 4, maybe 5 times a week, just to keep in shape, just to keep ticking. And the reason that I do that is, one is for me, so I feel good, like within myself. But it's to then, when we play and when we come back, I can demand everything I want from them because I've done it myself. So they can't say to me, "Oh, well, Fletcher, you know, you haven't made that run 10 yards to go and challenge that man because you're not fit," because I'll do it. But if they're not doing it and they're not working as hard as I am, I can forever say, "Come on, like, get with me." If I don't have to work as hard as me, I'm a bit obsessive. I go a bit far, and that's just how my nature is. But if they just do a little bit, or a bit, and a bit, and a bit, and it'll just build up. It'll build up, and then they'll be sort of, they'll not be like extremely super uber fit, but they'll be fitter than what they naturally are.
They'll have that background stamina.
Yeah, and I think being a part of a team it's that you don't want to let the person down next year. So you can say after we play or after we train, I give everything, and I do it for me, but I do it for you as well. And I don't know, maybe guys don't get that, and it might seem like total over the top because we are literally playing amateur level. But if you're not there and if you're there, and you're not wanting to win, then don't turn up. Do not turn up. And it's like when you come to training. If you come to training and you don't train to be the best there, why? What is the point? What is the point? I mean, I have friends who, like, when we run, I've got, like, one of my best mates is a really, really good runner, and he's fit like me. He runs all the time. And we were out, and I remember, this was a few weeks ago, and I'm laughing because I know, and he'll kill me for telling this, but I was out running, maybe it's, I don't know, it's 2.5, 3 weeks. It was probably about a month ago. I haven't ran for a bit. I've had a bit of an injury. And
the excuses come through.
Yeah, I haven't done anything for 3 weeks, but I've just complained about everybody else. No, I had a bit of an injury, and where he lives, he's sort of like my route, the top end. So if I see it, this route I did was like an 8-mile route. Yeah. So it, like, you run, you don't really know where I live that well, but it's at, like, at the turning point of like halfway. So maybe it's like 4 mile in. You're sort of near where he lives.
Right. Yeah.
So then you turn back and you come back. So I come back home. So I've come. I mean, Sean finishes work before me, and so as I've come out of my house and I'm coming down, and Bobby's about a mile and a half into my journey. He does a similar route, but it's flipped, obviously. Yeah. So he's coming towards my house. So I'm running down, like, it's near the arena, and I'm running down the road. It's not Sean. So I gets to the junction at the roundabout, and he comes shooting across this way to do his loop back. Yeah. So I've seen him, and I'm like, oh, I haven't seen him for weeks. Bear in mind, obviously, because of this. And I'm like waving and everything, and he's like, and I was like, shit, he's going. I was like, he's running quite quick. I was like, how am I gonna? I don't. He's gonna post his time in our group, and I'm like, I've got to beat him. And he's just my best mate. So as he's gone round, he's like looped round the back of like a big like business building, like, and he's going round the back of it this way, but I'm going up the front here. So sort of, he's got a little bit longer to run along the flat, and then we're running parallel. So I'm thinking, I need to be ahead of him. But as soon as he comes out the other side, I don't want to see him. So mate, I'm going down this road, and I've just absolutely opened up, and like literally, and all I can think about is, I can't let him beat me, and people are laughing, think, you absolute idiot, you moron, why would you? Mate, I'm not joking. I ran, I'd done the loop, I'm coming back, and I'm thinking, I'm going okay here. I have like the Strava running, but I also have, because Strava doesn't tell you how quick your miles are. Yeah. So I had the night gap running in the background, which tells you your miles. So the night gap's going, and it's like, first few miles were like 650s, 655s. I knew I was going to slow down. I'm doing 8 mile. So I was like, mile 5 coming back, it's like 7 minutes 10. And I'm like, oh, if I can stick at that, that's quite good going. So I've done the loop coming back, and obviously at the top, at this loop, you sort of go up a hill and you come back. So I'm coming mostly back downhill. Bear in mind, I've done the climb. So Sean's on the back end of his run's got to come up this hill, and I'm thinking,
you just pace it down.
Oh, I'm thinking like, I feel for him. Got to finish going up this, because I've come up it to like at the middle of my run. He's got to come back up here, and I was like, that's going to kill him. So anyhow, he gets down, we runs back, and obviously we pass on the roadside. He didn't see me because he's at the end of his run, so he's like thinking, I'm just going to get home. Yeah, I'm getting home. So I've still got like 3 miles to go, and I'm like, and I've seen him. I was like, and continue on. So I continued on and I got home, and it was like a great run. But I don't think, and this is the point what I'm trying to get to, is I don't think I would have ran that way, that hard that night if I hadn't have singing.
Mm-hmm.
I would have ran hard and I'd have given it my best.
But you wouldn't have pushed yourself.
Yeah, and that's not anything. And that's hey, if you were to sit him here, he would tell you exactly the same thing because we so alike like that. I mean, there's no shame in that. And he said, and I told him this. I told him, I said, mate, I did that time because of you.
Did you beat him or did he beat you?
I don't.
What was the time?
I don't want to disclose. I mean, not that I don't want to throw him under the bus. You know, that's all I'll say.
Okay.
I don't want to throw him under the bus. I don't know. We could get the Stravas up if we need to get the Strava time. No, I'm joking. I'm joking because he's run quicker than me since then. No, but I mean, again, that to me is healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Other people will think that that's not healthy. Other people will think, well, that's just too far and a bit extreme.
Mm-hmm.
But if that pushes that person, and that's the thing as well, I know how he operates.
Yeah.
So I know him seeing me will have pushed him. But if I saw maybe, I don't know, I know other like some of my friends who go out running, who are decent runners. If they saw me, it wouldn't change anything for them because maybe it's not as competitive.
Yeah.
Whereas if I still saw them, I'm still thinking, no, I'm pushing it because I need to be like as fast as I can and go. And I use this phrase. Well, one of my friends used it, and I've stolen it off him because I have. I'm not gonna lie. I'm just a gimmick of everybody else. I just take their little ideas. He uses a phrase about going to the well, and I use it now very often. And if he watches, he'll know who I am. Maybe it's like when we sort of had like the first lockdown. Well, whenever it was, maybe it's the middle of last year.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, it'll lead on to something else. He started running. He didn't run. He never really ran before. I could try him up and talk forever. And he started running. And he says, "I'm going to just run every day for a month. I'm just going to start running 5Ks or whatever."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, fair play, because like running 5Ks every day for 30 days is quite hard."
Yeah, it's quite the challenge.
It is quite a challenge. I've done it, and it is hard. And he just plugged away. And there was times where I would go with him because obviously at this point we could do rules of 6 and exercise or whatever. And I would go with him, and I would be like, I would run mine. Obviously, I would run it quicker, but I would sit and I would wait, and I would stay with him because I was like, he wouldn't cheat, he wouldn't stop. But I just think if I stayed there and he's coming around, we would do it like the running track sort of, and he's coming around and he can see me, and I remember there would be times and you won't mind me telling you this. I remember there'd be times and he'd have like 2 laps left, and he's like not flagging, and I'm like screaming at him, "Go on, man, go on! Like you're alright, you can get there." And it's just what little things like that can help a person so much, so much. And what that leads me back to is probably something that I've not really spoke about. Really, were a lot of people. I mean, I've always been like sporty, fit, like playing football, running and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think maybe it's about a year and a half ago, maybe it's like that October, November of like 2019. That's probably when I realised, probably it's that year prior, I lost a lot of focus in myself in like exercising and really like driving as a person to try and like strive to do like good at work or like push yourself to like different, and I'd lost all that focus. Struggling with a few things, just in your head beating yourself up about things, and I'd lost I'd lost drive. I probably lost a bit of identity really, and I remember it was a Sunday in October, and I said to myself, I've had enough of this, and I totally pulled the plug on it, and I just sort of went. Had realisation. I remember my mum and dad were away on holiday at the time. I picked the phone up and I rang them, and I just said, look, I don't feel great. Struggling with a few things, and I just told them. I just said like I don't really feel as if I'm like doing anything, and they were really great. I was with my ex-girlfriend at the time, and she was great. You know, I spoke to her, and she really listened. I mean, she was fantastic. People are fantastic, and that's the thing. You're a little bit scared to go, oh, I need to get it off. Once it's off,
it feels so much better.
My God, I'll totally totally preach that. Absolutely. I remember ringing my parents. I'll tell you this was gospel. I ringing my parents. I was in tears. Not because like I was ashamed or embarrassed. I think it was tears of like realization and happiness. A little bit of like, oh thank God. And ever since then, I've just sort of there's like a light bulb and a flip of a switch, and then first like from October like to the beginning of 2020, the beginning of last year, sort of like maybe it's about a year ago to now, maybe it's the beginning of March. I focused on just like, and it's something what we sort of lose track of is we talk about training physically.
Yeah.
Training my mind to think, to focus on things like little things like get little wins on a daily basis, and that built me up. And it built me up to be stronger and stronger. But at this time, I was playing football, but I wasn't fit. I'd lost all of it. I wasn't enjoying the football because I knew I wasn't fit. It was affecting my game. It was. I mean, I'm not great, far from great, but I'm alright. I can play, and I'm obviously highly competitive.
Yeah.
So it was a bit of a vicious circle that. So I was then coming home and beating myself up about it, but trying to then focus on the mindset. Put in my head, I'd said, I don't want to push it. I don't want to try and train the mind and train the body at the same time.
Yeah,
I wanted to get the mind right first and get the body right after. So going on for them few months, I got to like the beginning of March. And I was like, oh, I feel a bit more normal now. I'll do that because nobody's normal.
Yeah.
Especially me. And yeah, absolutely.
Ricky Spanish.
So I get it in there. No, so it got to like the beginning of March last year, and I was like, I'm gonna go out and run. And I hadn't actively gone out and said I'm gonna go on a run. For this must have been a good year, and that's a long time for me. Totally, that's what I mean. And then I think back to that, wow, why did you do that? Why did you get yourself to there? So I've got no shame in telling people this, that I went out and I couldn't run 2 miles, and that like absolutely butchered me. The pride of me was
because
like,
you can run like quite a few miles from what I've seen on your Strava.
Yeah, I mean, I can, and that is exactly it. I am like naturally I am actually a good runner, but because I'd lost everything, I think I'd still at that point don't think I was mentally right to be like how I am now.
Yeah.
Like really push yourself. So I went out and I ran 2 miles, and I was like 1.9 on the Strava, and I was like, done. Fuck, I won't fit in that. So I walked home, like the walk of shame here. It was like the walk of shame.
Shoes in hand.
Ah, it was the shoes and makeup everywhere, hair was all over, tights were riding up, you know.
Pants around your eyes.
Yeah, but that's on a good day. No, I'm joking. And I walked home and I was like walking home, and I was beating myself up. Why have you done this? Why have you done? But from that day, then it was another level of just go again. So like I went out and I was in agony, and I'm joking. I ran 1.9 miles, and my legs were in agony. I was like, oh my God. So I went the next day. It was just like, and I say this to people now. I've got a good friend who I work with who's just started to get into running, and all I did at the beginning was just cover the distance. Don't worry about your speed. Go as far as you can before you can stop.
Yeah.
So then the next day I was like, go a bit further, and then that just gradually it built up, and then we started like everyone at this point now in like, excuse me, on social media was like, we're doing 5Ks. So I was like, right, I'm into that. People are posting their 5K time. I was like, I'm gonna go.
Because it was like 5, then nominate 5.
Yeah,
that's something. Yeah.
Exactly. So people are posting good times, and I was like, nah. And again, the mindset of, I'm not gonna say that. I'm gonna try and beat
better than
you. Yeah. But not
In
like
a nice,
not like I'm better than you, boy. Like, but as in like I want to be better than you, and I can't help that. And people will laugh and they'll say, "Why are you so bothered?" And it's not about. I guess it's not about trying to prove anything to them. I think it's just trying to prove something to me and trying to better me.
It's not that you're trying to beat them. It's you seeing yourself as them and trying to better yourself as them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't mean to be an arse there. I really, really don't. And that's not here. And I don't like. I don't look down upon people whose times are slow, because I've been and I'm trying to help people themselves when they run. I've took people out running.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll get you quicker. Well, I know a little few tips, and so these times are coming on like so on Instagram and stuff, and I was like, oh, I've got to beat these. So I started running, and my friend Sean, who we spoke about before, at this point he'd been running for quite a while, and he was really quick. He was beating me, and I was like, shit, he's beating me. So I says, Sean, I says, we're going to go to the track. I says, I want you to run. And I says, I'll run on the back of you. Like, you can pace make for me, or I'll run next to you. Oh yeah, that's fine, cool. So we went. the first time we went, he'd done 5k, and we'd done 5k in about 20 minutes. Quick.
Which is, a good time.
It's quick. So we were like, I was like, blown, absolutely done. And he was like, wow, he was like, you've only been running for like, this was maybe like May time, 2 months after like the March thing that we built up to. He's like, you've only been running for 2 months and you read that. I was like, that's not like, it's nothing like talent. It's nothing. It's just pure focus and determination. It's not like, I don't know, I'm naturally like the most athletic and like, as you can see, I'm not like a beast. It's just working hard and being determined and focused. And I think the not wanting to lose like helps that as well.
Yeah.
And so we were running and we started doing that. And I think we ended up getting down, we got our 5k time down to like 18 minutes something. Stupid.
I'm going to say, I've never done a sub 21 yet.
Stupid. It was stupid. And we were just like 1850s and 19s and we were done. We were absolutely like... and so at this point I was like, well, what's the next thing? I need to go further. And I can remember... speaking of 5... I was going to say, speaking of 5k, I did 5k last night. Because in between all this, I've started to focus on longer running. So like last night, I've seen it before, I hadn't ran for like 3 weeks. Been a bit... I'm not making excuses here. I had a bit of a tight hamstring. I'm not bothered about the snow. I'd been out in the snow. And I was like... I've been to the doctors last night and I was like, right, I'm going to leave the doctors, I'm going to go to the running track. And I was like, how far am I going to do? I'm going to just do a really quick, short 5k. So I hadn't ran 5k. I haven't ran 5k in a long time. So I did 5k last night, ran it in like 20 minutes, 7 seconds or whatever. It was quick, it was good. I was done. I was like, you know, the hill to come from Silk Swift Skates, like the running track, to get back over the car park. It must have took me like 10 minutes. I was like, oh, absolutely goosed, man, goosed. So, anyhow, cutting back. Started to focus on running longer. So I started doing like 6 miles and stuff, and I was like 10k's. So, oh, this was like a comfortable distance. And people were like, oh, people started messaging me, oh, I see you doing a lot of running and stuff. People at work, have you ever thought about running a half marathon? I was like, yeah, I've thought about it, and I was like, oh, I think now this is what I'm really looking to train towards, is half marathons. They were like, do you think you could run a half marathon? I was like red rag. What do you mean? What do you mean, do you think? Yeah. Well, you just not ran over 6 miles, right? I've just got to run that twice, haven't I? And a bit more. Well, that's just the mindset of people who go, what do you mean just twice? Well, you do that. So say I do a loop. Yeah. Just do it again, and then a bit further. So I remember I got up and I'd set the day in my head. I think I'd done a 7 mile or an 8 mile in the week. And at this time, I wasn't as quick as I was then. Now, I can't speak. Then, I wasn't as quick as I am now. So, I was like, right, in my head I was like, just do a half marathon under 2 hours. Just do it. Yeah. So I got up on a Sunday morning and it was like 7 o'clock Sunday morning.
And then just bash one out.
Bash one out, man. Absolutely. And then I had a run. No, I was like, right, just get up, get some fuel, some porridge, and just go out. I was running, and I was done. I was done at like 9 mile. Absolutely done. I was proud actually that I got to 9 mile. Yeah, but I wasn't stopping. Was not stopping. And I remember I had a plan or a route in my head. It was like a rough idea of actually like what. I think it's like 13.2, isn't it? 13.1.
13.1. Yeah. Talking about going off the miles. Which I've actually signed up for myself for. I did last year, hoping to do it in 2020, and I've just recently, I was like last week, I've re-signed myself up for it. I'm dressed as Captain America for it.
Holy smokes! Wow. You're gonna run with a shield?
Yeah, I've got the shield, and it's like a full-on, like, you know, his outfit from Infinity War.
Yes.
That one.
Have you got the ass for it though?
I'm working on it.
That's okay. That's okay. That's America's ass. Do you know that?
I'm gonna make it Britain's ass.
Oh my god.
Ricky Spanish.
No, so I had this route and I'm running it and I'm back like to home now, but I'm on like 11 mile. So I've got to find 2 more mile, but you know how easy it is when your front door's there. Yeah. You go, dude, I'm fucked. I'm done. I'm out. So I was like, I just find 2 mile. And I'm running, and I'm not even running. I'm like literally like plodding.
Gassing out.
Oh, absolutely. So I get it done, and it ended up being like, I'm not joking, I get the time up. I was sure it was like 1 hour 59. It was like to the wire. I was like, oh, well, I was chuffed. I was proper proud. So I posts it, does all the thing, you know, Instagram and whatnot. And I had people messaging me like, "What the fuck are you?" And I was like, "I'm done." I was like, I can't run for a week. I was gassed. So I gets in. I'm a big believer in it. If you haven't tried it, try it. Ice cold baths.
Yeah.
They work a treat. Absolute. But just get in. Just get it done. And it, honestly, I was like, I got out. I was in agony. Got out, but I was like, oh, I feel dead fluid. It does everything just like feels like loose. And so I'd done that, and I think that was at that point then, that was like maybe that was the middle of me, back end of me, and I was like, I'm really into it now. I'm really like feel as if I'm just gonna keep going and keep going. So then for like the next like what we in now, so like the next 6-7 months, it's just running all the time. Like the lockdown, like before Christmas, like the November, like December one, I was at work and the lads were like, we have got great guys who I work with. We all take the mick, we all have a bit joke, and they all batter me for the running and posting it and all that. And a few of them are getting into it because of it, which that really makes me proud, because I'm happy that being able to do that is helping other people.
Yeah.
So they're like, wow, why didn't you do a challenge in the lockdown? I was like, oh shit. I was like, that's a great idea. But I was like, what am I going to do? I was like, well, we got a 4-week lockdown. I went, okay. So we were just stood there like at the desks and stuff, and I was like, I'm going to run 10k every day for 4 weeks. And I'm like, shut up. I was like, I'm going to run 10k. Because obviously, I mean, there's guys who run marathons for 30 days, and these guys are ultra fit. I was like, I'll run 10k. I was like,
especially because you've already done the 5Ks.
Yeah, I've done the 5Ks, right? I'm now at this point now. So this is November, like last year. At this point now, I'm running like 10Ks 3 or 4 times a week. I'm running a bit further a couple of times. So, but I'm not running it every day. So I've got no recovery time. So I was like, right, we'll do it. Did day 1, post it. So I was like, the point. I mean, you saw the post. I was doing it like every day on Instagram and that. And I was like snipping the time. And I always remember being on day 3, and I was like, day 3 was like a Sunday or whatever. It was like a 4-week thing, and day 3 was a Sunday. It was definitely a weekend. And I ran it on day 3, and I was like, holy shit, like
this is awful.
Like 3 days in, I was like, why? What? And I just think maybe that was just a bit of fatigue. So I started just smashing calories in and like stretching, like foam roller, and like I started doing it. So like I got to like day 14, which was obviously the halfway point.
Yeah.
And at this point, like, I got a little bit, and it got a bit of traction, and not viral. But I had people messaging me like, "Oh, like I've seen you been going for a run a day. I'm going out," and I was like, "Oh wow!" Like, and then as I started to think about it, like, I think subconsciously I am doing it for me to be fitter and to have a bit of focus, to not. But the posts and then became for other people to then say, "Oh well, it's raining, it's chucking it down. Oh, but Fletcher's out running."
Yeah, no, because you kept posting a lot on Facebook as well, and I remember I texted Katie and I was like, "Oh, Fletcher, he's my old manager, he keeps posting. He see you post every day, it's doing me in." But I was like, "Oh, he's run 10k, I haven't done that in a while."
Yeah.
And then I went, you know what, I could still do that, I haven't run it a bit, and I ran.
That was the aim.
Went out run.
That was the aim. That was I think that was what the aim become. One, like I said before, it was for me, but then to have other people messaging me. I mean, I'll tell you something now. I'll be real. There was times, I can't remember what day it was. It's funny because I can pretty much remember each run and how I felt. But there was a day when I was like, my God, I cannot be bothered.
Yeah. It's
cold, it's wet. And I was like, that sort of doubt started to creep in. I was like, just don't let that creep in. So I got home, and it was become regimental. It was like, work's like 5 minutes from my house. So it was like, home, change, go. I wasn't even having my tea. So I was like, and that was like become routine. And this day, I remember I sat down, I was like, and I made a point of like, not stopping. Literally, I would come in from work, I would get changed and go out, I wouldn't take, and I sat down, I was like, oh no. But because of other people, I'm not saying that if they hadn't messaged me and said that I wouldn't have gone, I would have gone, I would have. But because of other people, I was like, I can't let them down.
Now we expected to see a Fletcher post.
Yeah, and I know that sounds cringy, and I'm far from like saying, oh, like everyone was checking and going like, whoa, Fletcher, like, nah, but the 1 or 2 people who did message me saying, like, that day, because I put on that day, I think, man, that was like an extreme I think it was my slowest time of the lot. But I put on, I was like absolutely struggling. But then the response to that was like, people's nice, like people were being like really kind and like, oh, that's great, like, you know, you've got to go, you've got to keep going. And I'll tell you something now, right, and this is the gospel truth, the next day I said to myself, and that was after my worst day, and I remember the next day, I woke up and I was like a different animal, because it tackled that.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, so that night I said, alright, I'm going to go to the running track. I said, I'd been doing the same route for like 20 odd days at this point. I think it was like day 22 or something, that bad day. And day 23 was me good, like the best time I ran. I've been doing the same route for 20 odd days. That becomes mind numbing. That becomes mind numbing because you're just sort of like, I'm halfway. Oh, there's a hill here. Oh my god! Like, I'm slow. Yeah, you know exactly where you should be at your time. So my times were quite like steady. They were steady. So day 23, I was like, I'm gonna go to the running track. My feet were sore. Like the soles of my feet were just like, blistered. They just like were off. Like the impact, they were just sore, like tender. So I went to like the running track on day 23, and I just walked round, and I was like, I'm gonna absolutely smash this. And I'm not joking you, right? I ran a best 10k time I've ever ran. Day 23 into this challenge, and I ran it in like 40 minutes 7 seconds.
Yeah, which
quick.
is an impressive time.
Quick, very quick. So me being me was like, wow. I was impressed, because that's hard for me to try to really like impress myself, because I'm always like trying to be better. So I dropped my phone. I was like, whoa. And I can remember, it was funny, I can remember running, and I run with my headphones in, listen to music. Sometimes I like to listen to like the podcasts and stuff, people talking, and I can remember
to distract you.
Yeah, anything. To be honest with you, I quite like listening to like the classical music, quite calming.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? I used to watch it on the way home from the arena. Yeah, it was brilliant.
Classic, like, yeah, man, we're killing it. No, so I can remember running, and when I go to the running track, it's like it's a bit dog eat dog for who wants that inside lane, because the inside lane's obviously the lane you want.
Yeah.
So when you go there and you're in that lane and you keep getting off, you get overtaken, you're like, oh, fuck's sake, like this guy's quick. I've been there. So I went that night and I was blasting, and there was a group of like two young young women, early 20s, and I can remember at this point I'm like probably on to mile 5 and I'm like flying, and I'm like, I know I'm running on a good time, and I can remember going past them, and I remember like they must have got a shock, and it was so funny, because they were just getting like, whoa, fucking slow down, man. And I was like, and I was that focused, and then as I come back round again, I was like, I'm on for my best 10k time here, and I'm like running, trying to tell them, I was like, get out the fucking way, like, you know what I mean? I don't want to be overtaken yet. So fair play. They shifted. It gets round, I completed, like I say, 40 minutes 7 seconds, and I had like 5 minutes, and I sat down, and I was like, wow, like, it was freezing. Obviously, I sat there, and I was like, I'm so chuffed for that, so chuffed. But then the poisonous, toxic in me was like, why didn't you get it below 40? I was like,
there's no winning.
No, there's never any winning, and you've got to learn. And I think now I'm not as like, I looking back on that now, I'm probably happier now than I was at the time.
Yeah.
Like, so when I'm talking about it now, I'm like dead chuffed about it. But it was funny because he was like, for like 5 minutes looking at it, I was like, wow, I can't wait to post that. And then I walked back to the car and I was like, why didn't you do it under 40? You know.
Yeah.
So that really helped. And I mean, one of my good friends at work, he's similar to me. We like the same things, and like we have similar tastes. But I think doing that helped him. And he said to me, like, one thing, he said, you know, when I started, and I just said the same thing, just focus on running. Don't worry about your timings, and we started getting up to like 5Ks, and he said, you don't judge me on my time. I was like, no, because you get the utmost respect from me from going out. As soon as you step out and do anything, you get my respect. And it doesn't have to be exercise. And this is what I messaged him last night, because I knew I was doing this today. I was like, is there anything you want me to talk about? In general, he says, what? He said, you know what, right? He says there's a trait, what? Like, cultural, is like society that we have now, is people want other people to feel.
Yeah.
People take joy in seeing other people feel. And he's right, because I think when I started posting, that was the thing of, I need to do this every day now, because people want me. People will be watching that going, you'll not be able to do that.
Yeah.
That, for me, was like fuel. You know, that. Whereas some people don't like that. Some people are like, oh God, if someone wants me to feel, I don't really know if I want to step out into that area and feel.
Because you're very vulnerable at that exact stage that you go out with the possibility that you're going to feel.
Yeah, and I think reverting back to that first run that I did when I was like couldn't run 2 mile, I failed. But the thing is with failure, it's about learning, really.
Mm-hmm.
Best people, elite level sportsmen, elite level people in anything have failed. We've failed. Everybody who's here has failed at something. But it's about what you do with that failure and what you make from it to be able to channel it into something, into good.
Mm-hmm.
I've failed many times in things. Many a times. Did I dwell on it? Maybe when I was younger. Probably did. But now, I was going to say being older and wiser, but I wouldn't use wiser. Being older, you learn what to do with that. You learn where to put that, and what to do, and like how to channel that into making you a better version of you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. And again, and we were talking, me and him were texting last night for a little bit, and he said a lot of people try to work in silence because of that. They don't want to open up to people and say, oh, I'm doing this every day.
Yeah.
In case that person's not like wanting the best for that person.
Yeah.
So people operate in silence because then they're thinking, oh, nobody knows I failed then. But once I said, I'm doing 10k for 28 days, I had 5 guys around me who I work with saying, fair play.
Yeah.
And to be fair to my friend, he said to me candidly, he went, you'll not do that. And I know he didn't mean it.
In a hurtful way.
He didn't mean it, but what he meant was, what he done was he knew he was fooling me. He knew how I operated, and he knew if I say that, I know he'll still do it. And he said, and I mean, I was early on, I was on like day 6, day 7, and I remember him asking me, "How are you feeling?" I said, "I feel okay." I says, "I can feel it. My body can feel it. I've ran for 7 days in a row, 6 mile. I can feel it." And he said, he said, "I know on day 26 or 27 or 28 if you're in absolute agony." And he said this to me, and it was really nice. And he doesn't realise that. He said, "I know you'll still do it." And he said that, and he looked me straight in the face. He said, "I know you'll still be out there." And I looked at him and I went, "Oh, yeah, I will." And little things, little conversations like that with people can do an awful lot. I'm quite confident in what I can do and how but that helped me. And that's something, again, going back to that toxic trait of people wanting to fail, to have someone actually say, I don't think you'll be able to do it. I know he didn't mean it. What he was doing was, he was being clever because he knows how I operate. Yeah. And for him to then say a week in, I know you can do it, was like, it was really nice actually. Really, really nice. People don't realise that small little things like that, little comments can change a person's day or change a person's like outlook on things. Yeah. And again, I mean, we're in obviously midst of whatever, one of the most weirdest times ever, really. And it's like now we're in February, cold, wet, dark. I mean, it's starting to change, getting a little bit lighter. It's getting a little bit.
But every now and then the weather is freaking to snow, ice.
So like we go back to work after Christmas in January, right?
Everyone's depressed.
Everybody is like down. And they're not enjoying because we're in darkness. We can't see friends and family, and it's like, what are we doing? You know? And then I sort of said to myself after Christmas, because I've probably been guilty of this myself in the past, and I'll hold my hands up. I sort of said, you know what? Try and make somebody's day better each day. Even if it be a little compliment, or even if it be going out your way to help someone. I have been guilty in the past, and I will hold my hand up and say, sometimes I've been mean. Yeah. Sometimes I haven't been the best possible version of me. I haven't always been nice. And
which is only human.
It is. But when you do it to the people that you care about, that's not nice. When you think about it, and I think back and I think, God, you're a bit of a dick at times, you know, rude, like arrogant, obnoxious, not kind, and it takes and I sat there and I assessed myself, and I sort of took it. It's like taking a step out of yourself and looking at yourself. It's like sitting yourself there and then standing yourself there and looking at yourself and thinking, like, is that the best possible version of you? It takes a great deal of I think maybe there'd be humility to add up, like to own up and say, hey, you know what, I've did wrong. I've done things that are wrong and they've done things that aren't great. But now all I can do is focus on being the best possible version from that and learn from that. I mean, I was with like my ex-girlfriend for a few years, and to be fair, you know, I probably wasn't the best possible version of me for her, and that inevitably ended up probably is why we didn't work out. Yeah. And you know, you look back on that, and I don't really regret very many things, and try not to regret very many things. Probably regret that because you were a great person. She was mint, you know what I mean? Like a unreal person, and I probably let her down. And you know, the be all and end all of it is, if I'd actually probably realised this a little bit earlier, maybe we might have been in a different position. Yeah. Maybe who knows? That's you know, that's one of those things. But it takes that moment of take that step out and look at yourself and think, what am I doing? Yeah. Am I being like the kindness thing in the night and being nice? That actually takes nothing. Literally takes nothing. I mean, it can be as simple as someone like wearing their hair differently. And that's the thing. Men are afraid to compliment a woman on anything,
especially a lot more nowadays.
Yeah, because there's a fear of it being construed or you know, if you say it in the correct manner, oh, your hair's different today, that looks nice. You don't have to.
There's nothing wrong with it.
No, there's nothing wrong with it at all. Or like, you mean the only people you see now are people at work and stuff like that, really. So it's like, oh, your makeup's different, or your eyeshadow's like, there's nothing wrong with saying that. Yeah. But people are afraid to say that because they don't want to. It's like you put yourself out on the bait, don't you? Put yourself out on the bait for someone to say, should be creep, you know. But you do, and there's nothing. And if you can be that person to be like, oh wow, like a little compliment a day, or to help someone, or anything, that you don't do that for you to make you feel better. You do that for them. And then it's like taking happiness.
And then it gets the gratitude to you as well, so it's like a double.
Of course it is. I mean, I'm 27 next month, right? So I've got friends who live with their partners, having kids, and I'm not at that point in my life yet. Like, I'm not at that stage. But I take great happiness from seeing them happy. Yeah. And that is like, you know, when you can finally realise that and take that moment of seeking happiness in others, like, you're winning. Yeah, you're winning. Because you don't. I mean, I'm happy. I'm not down or anything. I'm actually really, really happy. And I think that's a mixture of me being understanding where I am in my life and happy with what I've got, but seeing others I care about around me be happy, and to be able to have that, because there's people who will, unfortunately, and it's a shame, you have best friends and you have good friends and you have friends, and some of those people will envy people. Yeah. And that's just a trait that people have. I have no envy for anybody. Like, literally, I am so happy for friends who are at that level now, you know. And if you can find that, or you can find that happiness from there, you're winning. You are winning. Trust me.
I think that's what I found in this lockdown specifically. Like, a lot of these podcasts and what all of last year was meant to be for us and what I managed to make it was all just sort of focusing on my own self, focusing on my physical health, my mental health, bettering myself. And then, like, about October, November time, I realised, like, yes, I probably have bettered myself a lot and for what I can do, but at the same time, I'm starting now to realise some of the shit that I've done. So on Christmas, I messaged every single one on my Facebook list. Messaged them all just like, oh no, don't speak much, but you know, I just hope you're doing well in this lockdown. And loads of people have, like, few people maybe just were like, and then screwed us up.
Well, you Snapchat me, I'm sure you did. Yeah.
And then, because I speak to you more on Snapchat, so I Snapchat you. And then, so like, everyone who I probably haven't spoken to in a few years all reached out again, and we had a lovely conversation. So it was then nice to sort of clear the mold with everyone. And then at that point, I was like, right, cool. Now I don't regret everything. I've said, you know, my piece. I've made amends with everyone. Now I can focus on continuing to be that better.
Yeah, and that's important. You use the words there, make amends, because when you can close your eyes at night, right? And you can close your eyes and you've made peace and you found inner peace with yourself, and you rest your eyes at night and you know that you've got no guilt, you will be happier when you can find that moment of close my eyes and I'm here now and I'm happy with where I am.
Yeah.
And maybe you might, and I was talking about regret before, you might regret those things, but the bigger person and the bigger man, the bigger woman, challenges and tackles that regret.
Mm-hmm.
God, I did wrong. It's how you sort of face that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, you regret things and I regret things. You can either let it stay there and continue to regret it, or you can use that to let it, like, you can take it out and just let it fuel you. Yeah, I've done wrong. Right, okay, I need to be better for that, for other people. It's
well, there was a few people who, of course, didn't have a very positive response back to the ones I did. There was he was my best friend in secondary school, and me and him had a massive falling out over numerous of things. And I messaged him as well, just to make sure he was doing okay. He throws some abuse at us, but I just said, I think he was like, "Oh, why are you looking at me Instagram story?" And I was just like,
why are you looking at what?
My Instagram story was as pathetic as that, but I was just like, you know what? I'm just glad to see that you're happy doing whatever the hell you're doing, so take care, mate. And then he just didn't respond to that. Then deleted the conversation. Of course, I didn't really follow him on Instagram anyway, I was just messaging him. But to that, I was like, I've reached out to someone who clearly was a big part of my life anyway, and I made amends. If he doesn't want to, then that's absolutely fine. But I can go to sleep. He's probably still rattled and wound up that I've looked at his Instagram story to see that he's in Sainsbury's or something. But I'm completely sound with life. And then one of my mates from college as well is the sole reason I got into boxing in the first place. Because, like you said, and sort of taken from what you said, spite is a really great motivator. And so
Spite, did you say?
Yeah, spite, because he was like, I think it was like summer a couple of years ago, and he was like, "Oh, we've got some like boxing pads in my garage. Do you want to use?" I was like, "Oh no, because I know fine well you just beat the shit out of me." Me being really small and skinny and that.
Yeah.
And so he put us down for it, and then I was like, because the arena having white collar boxing events, I said to Dylan, "Oh, I quite fancy doing one of them." So I said to the lads, I was like, "Do you think I could do one of this?" And he was like, "No, you're pathetic. No, you'll never do it. You're a skinny little." So I then did it, and I've trained, and every time I post anything to do with the fitness or the boxing, he always makes a comment in the group chat. So eventually, because of like making amends with everyone, I was like, you know what? I don't want to deal with this shit anymore. So I fired back. He was like, "Who's do you think he is? Fucking Mike Tyson." So I sent him a picture of me, and then Mike Tyson went, "Most people can't show the difference," and that rattled him up so much. And it just made me, because I wasn't really doing fitness. I wasn't eating well like November, December, even January. Just not because it was just Christmas, just because it was the third time we're in a lockdown.
Yeah, it gets people down.
Gym's closed again.
Yeah.
I've got stuff here, but it's just like it's cold, and I was struggling to find that motivation. And then him rattling me up in a little bit, and I was like, "Nah, I can definitely do it."
Yeah.
And it wasn't to prove anything. I mean, it was to prove to me that I can still do it. It was to prove me boxing camp that I'm still gonna come into the gym. I'm still gonna motivate myself and push. Like yesterday, was it yesterday? No, it was Thursday. Literally this Thursday. Worst session I think I've ever done in my life. Performance-wise, I sat there. I was like, I could have done that. That should have been so easy for me. But it was the worst thing. Like the second round, I was like, I want to be sick. I want to pass out.
Yeah. And
I did it because we had to do 250 meters raw on the treadmill as quick as we could. So I did it in like 52 seconds. So from that point, I now need to do lower than 52 seconds. He wasn't allowing me to do anymore.
Yeah. 5
tricep tips, 5 pull-ups, 5 push-ups, and then a quick few combinations on the bunch bag.
Yeah.
No break in between any of them. And then as soon as you do that, you've got to do it straight again. Boom. You do that 7 times. Boom. And by the second one, I was like, I'm going to pass out.
I'm done. Yeah.
But I just kept saying, like, just push. And I was gritting my teeth. I was swearing. I was honestly in absolute agony. And I knew especially from the boxing training all of last year and that, a lot, you can physically do a lot. But mentally, you'll start cutting yourself out. Your mind will go, "You're tired, just start giving up." And as soon as you tell your body, no, I can definitely go longer, then your mentality just goes, right, okay, right, we'll do what your body is capable of doing. And I push myself to the left.
You bang on there. There's a quote that I use, and that's why I think what I did was, and it's something that goes like, I've trained my mind, my body will follow. Once you win that battle, that will come with it. And it's as truthful as it is. So like when you talk about being tired, right? Being there myself, you're not. You're really not. When you think you're tired, right? You're not. You've got so much more to give, but just that's your body. Once that goes, no, you're all right. Just keep going. you can't stop.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like what you're saying there about wanting, like, nearly vomiting. Nothing wrong with that. Like, because that shows to me, if you stop there and then vomited, out, like, you're pushing yourself. I've done it. I've been running, been sick.
Yeah.
Because I push myself that hard because I want to be the best possible at that. Vomit everywhere. No shame in admitting that. It shows the person that you are. I mean, you used a guy there to compare yourself with, Mike Tyson. Have you ever watched Mike Tyson talk? Now,
I've watched some of his recent interviews.
Mike Tyson is the perfect example of a person, like, realising what they were and becoming what they are now.
Mm-hmm.
So, he was like the baddest man on the planet, but he was also not a nice person, X, Y and Z. But if you watch him now, and he seems to harbour a lot of regret and he carries a lot of pain.
Mm-hmm.
If you watch his interviews, and I think if a guy from that level there, where he was, to what he is now, can do that.
Yeah, I thought you were waving at us.
No, I was just saying brain damage.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, I thought you were like, there's a camera.
Brain damage, that's what it probably is.
It's probably, yeah, maybe it is. But if there's a guy like that who's been at that level, right, who can now be what he is now. Now the camera's on. and he focuses on it, and he uses things, and there's an interview he uses on being the art of humbleness. And I like to think, like, what is humble? What is a humble person? Because if you read it, right, if you can you tell me a trait of a humble person?
Nice.
Yeah. Being grateful for what you have, being nice to others. And people always associate, like, I'll talk about being competitive. People will say, like, you can't be humble and competitive.
Mm-hmm.
But you can.
Yeah.
You can. Because the humbleness comes from being decent at something. So say if you're quite good at something, quite good at running, right? I don't look down on people who can't run as quick as me, or can't run as far as me. I actually try to help them.
Yeah.
So there's an art of being humble, but also being competitive. It's like, there's two different ways. You can be really, like, arm around people. You go work, you know, you can do this, you can do that. But then in yourself, it's like, you're totally not humble about yourself. You can be, I need to do the best I possibly can, really, really, like, bang into it. Or then you get a friend of yours who can only run 2 mile. And you don't pity them, you don't, like, look down upon them or anything. What you do is you reassure and you make sure that, like, you know, you're doing good. You do me 1 mile, you're doing good. As soon as you put the trainers on to run, you're doing good. And what we talked about, we spoke a lot about exercise. And this doesn't have to be about exercise. If you find something what's good for you, it could be drawing. I mean, I'm just not creative at all or anything like that. It can be drawing, it can be, like, acting, or it can be any little thing you want, right? Find it and put some time and some energy into it, and honestly, you'll reap the rewards of it.
Mm-hmm.
You find something, right? Put loads of energy, effort, and if it be drawing, writing, reading, honestly, you'll think 6 months down the line, you'll go, oh my God, like, I used to draw like shit.
Yeah.
Now I'm actually quite good. Or you don't have to even be good. If you find happiness in it,
Mm-hmm.
so far. It's like and exercise is another thing. I'm different because I'm trying to be. But there's people who will exercise, right? Who will never change.
Mm-hmm.
But they exercise because it keeps them happy.
Yeah.
That's like the best thing. If you can find happiness in things that you can do.
Well, that's what my dad's doing. He's coming up 60 next year, and because my brother-in-law, when he's probably a better runner now than me, and he was a ex-heavy smoker, big beer belly from going out 3 times a week, and he doesn't mind us talking about this. When he started running, I was then sort of still in my element. I was just on the boxing, so I did all the running. So I always pulled my pace down to him and just said, if you're gonna stop, if you feel like you're gonna stop running or you're slowing down, just keep that sort of motion. Even if it's slower than a person walking, you're still doing that motion.
Don't stop.
Keep going.
Yeah.
Now he's a fantastic runner, but me and my dad would go out, and we have a little gym talk group, and we always, because we've got a gym now built in my nan's, we go, oh, we're gonna go to such and such, or we're gonna go to Bell's, or we're gonna go to the gym, or we're gonna go for a run. Do you want to come? And then because it's like, oh, they're going, yeah, I'll go. That'll motivate him to go. When I wasn't feeling too down, it would motivate me to go. It keeps my dad going just because he's 60, he wants to keep a bit fit.
Yeah.
But he's doing it because he knows if he goes out and runs, it's going to get us two to go out and run.
It's good to have that. That is massively important. That's why when you share it with other people, it's like, oh, I'm not gonna. I found when I was doing it, I don't want to let people down. And I know it wouldn't have let people down.
Yeah.
But it's like, well, no. If you're going out, I'm going out.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody. I don't care what anybody says, and people might disagree with this, but in my opinion, everybody has that competitiveness in them.
Yeah.
There's like a analogy of like the lion within you. Everyone has that. It's whether or not you want to let that out and be that person. And it's about, because there's ways and means you can have that, let that lion come out, and you can be intolerable, and you can be awful. But once you tame it, when it's out, you know when to be like that. So I know people who are like not too bothered about winning. And that's because they're afraid to let that out.
Mm.
They're afraid to lose. There's a massive fear about losing. There really, really is.
I see. The thing is, I can only really talk from a boxer's point of view more than a footballer's or anything. But with the fear of losing, most of my boxing training in the camps are more mental games with it for the art of boxing, and it's not to go in with the arrogance of, yeah, you're a good boxer, you're gonna win. Don't go in. Go in and go, I could possibly lose, and because of that, that'll drive you more than going in and going, oh yeah, I'll win.
Yeah, you don't want to get carried away, do you?
And it's because of that fear of losing that you then up your game to be like, oh no, I'm a good boxer, I'll prove it here because I don't want to lose.
Yeah, and when it's like boxing's, I mean, I respect that because I wouldn't get in a boxing ring. No, like I'm not getting hit.
I don't think I would like to. Yes.
I'm not getting hit. But it's people who do like soul sports like that. So it's like them. They've not got a team. It's you. So they get my utmost respect because you can't rely on anyone else.
Yeah.
If I have a bad game when I play, I've got 10 other people who can have a good game and we can win, or vice versa.
My thing with the arena, it's just me in that boxing ring, so I've got to prove it to myself. But
Yeah.
I was going to make myself have the most amount of stress possible. So not only did I feel like it was needed that I do it at the arena, my first ever job,
Yeah.
and where I saw it was like, you know what, I probably could do that. A, arena where I still work. B, fill half the arena with everyone who I work with from Here's Travel, the hospital, the arena itself who don't work there,
Yeah.
and then my own family and friends. Half the arena anyway is going to be my crowd. So
Yeah.
not only have I now got to go up there and be like, I need to do this for myself. I might lose. I can't let that happen. I've got now all my people watching who are going to be cheering me on. That's great. But I've also got them two friends who were like, oh no, you'll never do this, and would put me down. I've purposely put them front row.
Yeah.
So now I'm
you
going
can't miss me. You can't miss me. Be great here.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like, you said I can't do this.
Come
You
on, watch
get
me.
in the ring with
Yeah,
me.
come on. And we're on the car park afterwards. I'm bringing wall. No,
After I win this, I'm bringing you.
you know what? I mean, we
You might have to explain what bray means, by the way.
Bray means knock the fuck out. Beat
Glasgow
up.
kisses.
Beat up. Nah, we're talking about a lot about sport, and actually something I probably should ask my friends if I could talk about this, but they'll not mind. They're good. They're good. You know Ryan and Sean.
Yeah.
You know what Ryan and Sean have been through. So when we were in like probably your age, really like early 20s, obviously they were both very unwell.
Mm-hmm.
They both had testicular cancer, and something that made me do now, especially now that as I'm older, because in the moment when you're there and they're unwell, it was like
You don't know what to do.
oh god no. But you appreciate your health, and I think that's why I am as I am now. You appreciate your health so much more because I had two best friends who were going through that, and I was like, how like you feel a bit guilty and stuff. You know, you feel like they've been unwell, and you're fine, and you're like. So now I think, fully healthy man, like I should make the most of it as I can.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately for Ryan, he's not quite 100% yet. He's still working. I mean, hey, he's out running. I message him. I love it. He's
A lot of people would have probably just given up.
Oh yeah. And there's probably been times where he's probably felt like that. But using him and seeing him do that, like that for me is like that. I've got no excuse. Nobody's got no excuse. I mean, he goes out. He does like 5Ks in good time. You know. He's never been the fastest ever. He knows that because I've always beat him in a race. But yeah, honestly, that's an ongoing joke. Cross 5 yards, you'll beat me. No,
If you
but
look at this camera, that's definitely a good one.
yeah, you'll not beat me across 5 yards. Ryan Collard. No, sorry, bro. And so to see him going out and seeing him doing that and making the most physically of what he can do at the moment, that like fills me with pride. I mean, I always remember, and this is silly, it's a little comparison of how life can be so, it can be so like fragile. Really, is we went. This was 5 years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. We went away for a weekend. We went to Liverpool.
Mm.
He wasn't very well. He kept getting pains in the base of his back. And we went away. We had like, it was like 5 of us went. Yeah, 5 of us went. We had like 2 nights away. And he wasn't well. But he was like plodding on, you know. And we come back. And Ryan lives in London. He teaches down in London. That's where he lives. And he went back down there. And I think it was like the week after, the Friday or something. I got a phone call. I don't remember where I was at the time. I got a phone call. It wasn't 5 years old, whatever it was, 4 years old. A phone call, and he said, oh, Fletcher, I'm not very well. I was like, alright, okay, do you know where Sean is? I said, oh, I'm not with him. So anyhow, as it transpired, obviously, it explained that he'd obviously got testicular cancer. And from the space of like seeing him in the August to then going and seeing him, I think my timing might be off. It wasn't very long.
Mm.
He'd had to start intensive chemo straight away. It was very like quite far on.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to go and see. Well, I didn't have to go and see him. Like, I wanted to go and see him, and I went down. We went down after work on a Friday night. And you know when you have moments in your life where you'll never forget, and you want them to be like happy moments and nice moments. Mm-hmm. I can remember going into his house. His mum and dad were there. They'd both gone down, and I'd gone with his brother and his cousin. And I went in, and I was like, you know, I didn't know what to expect. And like, I can't explain. Like, from a month later, he looked like a totally different person, and it was awful. Like, it was awful to see his parents like that, him clearly unwell, his brother, his whole family. And I was like, my God, like, how fragile is life? It's just changed like that for him. It changed, like,
especially because he was the same age as you.
Yeah, it's like his birthday next week, so there's like a month between us in ages, and I'm sitting there and I'm going, like, how, why him? You know, you just go through so many things, and I guess to not sound selfish or anything, I guess when that was going on, you sort of then it helps you with things, because you're not like things you would worry about before. You think, well, I've got to worry about that for.
Yeah.
He's going through something extremely like life-changing and life-threatening, and how am I meant to worry about some stress at work or anything like that? I mean, to go back to that, I mean, we all know that, and this is the extremely freaky, weird part of the whole thing, is that obviously Ryan was diagnosed, and Sean, his twin brother, by the way, was living up northeast of us, you know, up here, and about a week later, not even a week later from Ryan's diagnosis, he was like, I was talking to him all the time, obviously making sure he was okay and stuff, obviously every day, and he was straight up with me. He rang me and he said, Fletcher, I've got something to tell you. And I was like, what's up? He says, got a lump on my testicle. I was like, my God, like, what? Like, within a week of each other. So me, obviously, I was like, have you told your mum? Told your dad? No. And this is the type of guy he is. No. And then I remember this. No, they've got enough to worry about. I was like, mate. Obviously, at this point, he didn't know.
Yeah.
But I'm not being funny. When you have that, you pretty much know, don't you? It's pretty
especially if your twin is at it.
Yeah, literally a week before. So I always remember he came to out with me, and obviously Sean's parents had gone down. Well, sorry, what I should say is Ryan and Sean's parents, like Ryan's dad lived in London, that's where he worked, so he lived with Ryan. Their mum lived up here. So mum went down, left Sean and his girlfriend living in the house, you know. She went down to be with Ryan. So we said, you know, as a family, was like Sean, just come over ours. You can have tea and that with us and stuff. We'll do and help as much as you can. And I remember, mums are mums, aren't they? And mums are always going to be like, my mum's quite straight up. And I remember we were sat having like tea, And my mum had been talking to me about it. She was like, you need to check yourself. All this. I know. So obviously, I know this about Sean. I've not spoken to my parents about it because it's not my thing. His parents don't know, so I don't want to go and tell my parents before his parents know. So he come to ours for tea. We're just talking, and we were addressing what's going on, because you've got to talk, and that's the thing about Ryan and Sean, about they spoke, which was good. It was good for them to do that. And I always remember he was sat there, and he got into conversation with me. Ma just went not any bad. She just said, you need to check yourself.
Yeah.
And I'm looking, and I'm at her going, you don't know. She doesn't know. She's just being genuine. And then he said, and he explained to me, mum and dad, and we were fuck me. He obviously told them, and obviously everybody was you're heartbroken because you don't know where it's going to be or what it's going to lead to. So, that guy, that's why, I talk about both of them, and we're under the same tone, that I admired them, so much, because they were so brave, throughout the whole thing, so brave, and now the work that they're doing with young men with cancer, trying to put that support bubble out there for them to reach out to. That's taking something from the face of adversity and putting it into, to try and benefit others. That gets my utmost respect. And as human beings go, it sounds cringy, right? And people will say, do you mean that? Do you? Honestly, there was times where you looked at them and I was like, I would lie down and die for you. So you felt alright. Honestly, awful. And their family, they're both their partners. What amazing people. As a family, and what they've got around them. Oh my God, everybody likes their family, everybody loves their family. Or some people don't, and some people don't get on with their family. I love my family. But to look at their family, what amazing people. Honestly, what amazing people. And I guess that support network to have is important. Even when we were in our early to mid 20s, to have that was, for them, obviously, I can't even put it into words sometimes. When you start to think about it, strip it back down, how did their parents feel? One twin has it, and a week later the other one, and 10, 14 days later, is diagnosed. You're sitting there and you're I don't know, I could be totally miles away off the figure here. 1 in a X amount of million chances. It was something stupid like that. And you're just sitting there and you go, you must think, why?
Yeah.
Why us? Why me? God. But now, hey, both on the men. Sean, talk about Sean running. Sean's a beast. He is a beast. He is a joke of a human being. Absolute joke. He runs and he does all that, and he's absolute animal. He's just had a kid. He's had a kid.
Oh no, I heard about that.
He's had a kid. He's got a mini Sean. Well, he's not mini because Sean's mini anyhow. He's got a big Sean. He is. He's great, And it's how them two just, they blow my mind, because they're gonna have days where they're a bit down and they're a bit everybody does. But to come from that to where they are, and Sean will not, he'll not mind me saying this, but Ryan and Sean are two different people. Ryan is with the support group that they're doing, he's the driver. And Sean supports him 100%. They're both in it together, but Rye's the boy. You know what I mean? Rye's the guy. That's his style. That's his domain. And Sean jumps on it. Ryan would sit here. Sean would be you're not getting me on there. You know what I mean? Right. But they do their little talks and stuff, and it is amazing. And the network's it's in the thousands. They reach it. But what you've got to think about is again, we were talking about before about being nice to people, not knowing what to say or how to say it. And this is the one thing that me and Sean said, because obviously Ryan was quite bad. We said from the beginning, we can't treat him any differently, because once we start to do that, we've let him down.
Yeah.
And I think people are scared to, if someone's unwell or someone has a disability, or people are scared because they don't know what to say or when to say it or how to say it. But actually, you just be you.
Carry on as normal.
Yeah, carry on as normal, because what that's going to do is you're going to make them feel more different from what they, I have a family member who is disabled, so disabilities for me, and I'd say this and I don't mean this, it doesn't scare me, whereas it does some people. Some people don't know how to act. Some people are like, oh, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to say. But really, just be you, as if you were talking to an able-bodied person.
Yeah.
Just treat them as a normal person, you know?
I can only really go off like what my granddad did, because he, of course, was a very fit elderly man, and he was still, even when he got diagnosed with all the conditions from asbestosis and stuff, he was still out in his shed making boats, going around Abby and Hannah's, helping with the decks and all that, and building and making stuff for weddings. And when he did start slowing down and that picked up quite a lot, I think a lot of the family picked up quite a bit, and it got to Grandad because he knew he couldn't go in his shed for 2 hours, maybe 5-10 minutes is all he could last.
Yeah.
Or he couldn't carry the chairs and that. He'd still always have a joke around, but I tried not to treat him or make it known that he was clearly dying. I made it seem like he was still going. I would get him on the wheelchair and do wheelies with him. He would get on his little moped and fly down the street like 70 miles an hour.
Yeah, that's what you gotta do.
And that's all I can go off, but I think I'd like to hope anyway that made him be a little bit more positive on the outlook.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you talk about grandparents and stuff, because, like, I mean, I have one grandparent left, and you think now, like, God, I mean, I was talking to my dad the other day. Was it 12, 13? No, it was like 13 years since my grand died. So I was only like 13, and we sat and I went, oh my God, like, she's been gone longer than she knew me, and that really was weird. We were sat watching, we got talking about it, and we were watching the football or something, and we got talking about it, and I was like, wow, think about it like that, and it stopped me for a moment. I was like, that is extraordinary, because I can remember growing up, spending all that time together with her, and like, as a family and stuff, and then, like, now I think I've had that exact same amount of time, but without her. Which is really weird, really weird. You know, I don't know. Grandparents are something else, man, aren't they? Really, let's be honest.
I think because my granddad from my dad's side died before I was born, so I didn't know him. And then my nana Boots, when I was 6, from smoking all of her life, then started getting ill. And then for the next 6 years, it was constantly just sort of in the care home, in the hospital, back at hers. Yeah. So for me, it was more of I only really became a caregiver to her. Yeah. But so it sounds awful, but like her death, when she died, I had a cry. But I knew it wouldn't affect us as much as my mum and dad's nan and granddad would. So I've only got nan from my mum's side. Granddad sadly died last year. But I knew that would be like the killer for us of managing to have. I mean, at least I got 20 years with them. A little bit jealous that Abby and Hannah had the extra 8 years, Philip had the extra 10. But then at the same time, like, me and my nan, I think, took it the worst out of everyone in the family. Yeah. And it was nice having my family there going, out of everyone, you were his favourite. Yeah. Like, so it's nice seeing all the old videotapes, all the old photos of me and him, and then sort of just appreciating that for what it is. So I still miss him quite a lot. Oh. And I know I still will and will always affect us, but yeah, it's terrifying to think in X amount of years then I'll
be the same. When you're 40, yeah, when you're 40, you'll be like, oh, he's been gone as long as I've been alive. Like, you know, like the split. No, what you said there about you and your nana took it the worst. I mean, and some people always like they'll say things, and there's no such thing, you know. You can do whatever you want to do to deal with that. Nobody needs to say to you now, how long ago, so last year,
June last year.
You feel exactly how you want to feel. Nobody can say, oh, you should be at this point or you should be here. When you want to grieve, you take as long as you want, and you might grieve for years. People do grieve for years, and you learn to sort of live and you learn to just deal with it. But don't ever think, I shouldn't feel like this, or oh God, it's been 2 years now or 3 years. In 2 or 3 years' time, don't think, oh, I shouldn't feel like this. Or if it goes the total opposite way, where maybe by next year you actually feel fine, like, because you will. There will be a point where you'll get there, but don't feel sad that you feel fine, because then you'll think, oh God, I've like not forgotten about them, but do you know what I mean by that? Don't torture yourself to the point of I should be feeling fine. But when you feel fine, do not then think, oh, I'm being disrespectful. I'm not worried. Not being upset about them. I'm not going to tell you now. I've never met your granddad, right? He's not going to want that, is he? He's not going to want you to sit there and if it be 2 years down the line and you're like, oh, I'm okay with this. He's not going to sit there and say, no, you're not, you can't be okay with it.
I'm going to come back and apologise.
I'm going to come down there and I'm going to haunt the shit out of you. And I'm going to, you can't do that. I'm going to prod you while you sleep, boy.
On, off, on, off.
Why does the light keep going on in here? I don't know, man. I don't know.
But that was my biggest worry was, because I knew from when me first nan died, I knew fine well I had one set left. And I was just upset thinking that at one point they wouldn't be here. But I was so worried because I didn't really react when shit happened and bad stuff happened. I was like, oh god, if they do go, I'm going to worry that like I'm not going to cry. And then for like the next couple of weeks after, I was in balls of tears and just didn't speak to anyone.
Yeah, I mean, that's like, it's normal. You know, you're going to get upset, you're going to cut yourself off, you are. People do that. There's no right or wrong way to deal with it. Everybody's different.
So I didn't hold back. So I just, as soon as I found out, I was in tears.
Yeah. So
I started my grieving there, but I feel like my uncle, who was my granddad's son, didn't start grieving for a bit. He just like completely batted it off and was like, yeah, this hasn't happened, and would just ignore it.
Yeah.
So I feel like now he's starting to start the grieving process and he's started to let it settle in.
Yeah.
So it's upsetting for me and my dad because they would come around here for drinks in the garage, and it's upsetting thinking we've had our grief and now we're able to sort of talk about him and not be in tears, but it's hard for him to talk about him because he's now just started that process.
Yeah. And you don't disagree with what he's done because you know what we've just spoke about there is that's how he wanted to deal with it. So that's his way, and it's like everybody's at different stages with stuff like that. It's some people don't ever. Some people don't ever grieve, and I mean, there's nothing wrong with embracing that feeling. You're allowed. Just let it out. You know, let it out. Like people don't, especially men. They don't want to do that. Do they? This is huge now. Like men just want to go, no, I'm okay. You're not. And it doesn't matter if you're not. It doesn't make you any less of a man if you cry. So what? If you cry, so what? It doesn't mean anything. It's just emotion. I mean, I'm saying that I'm a bit of a hypocrite because I don't really cry.
Yeah.
I do cry, but I can quite like. I think sometimes people's emotions, they can't rationalise what's happening. So if you can or if you can understand it and come to terms with it, you don't necessarily have to get upset. But sometimes you can't.
Yeah.
Because it's just a shock. Oh yeah, such and such has died, or such and such is unwell, or this has happened. You know, and you're like,
there's too much emotion.
Yeah, bang. But if sort of things build up and you sort of like you started to process it already before that actual like the epicenter of what happens. Nah, it's grandparents, man. Weird folk, aren't they? Weird folk. My granddad lives with us. He lives with us at home. You know, my nan, like his wife, she died. She had Alzheimer's and stuff. She died, and he was just like a shell. You know, he lost like his wife. Had been married like 40 odd years.
Yeah. And
he was like struggling. You know, what are we gonna do? Let him live alone. You're not gonna do that. You know what I mean? We moved house. Everybody in there, and I think. I mean, I don't know. I could be totally miles wrong here. I think if we didn't move in with him, I don't know if he would be here. I know that sounds cringy and it sounds awful.
Yeah.
But to like look at what happened in that period of time afterwards, I don't know if he would have psychologically made it.
Yeah.
Like, when people talk about like dying of a broken heart and stuff, right? And then you're laughing.
Physically, it can actually happen because of all the heart tendencies and that. They can go under too much stress that they just snap. So it is possible to die from a broken heart.
What about that actress? What's she called?
Dr. G.
Which one?
From Star Wars.
Oh yeah, Carrie Fisher.
There you go.
Debbie Reynolds.
The Star Wars people.
Is it not Debbie Reynolds?
Carrie Fisher.
No, it's Carrie Fisher.
Debbie Reynolds is the mother though.
Yeah.
Died the day after.
Yeah, but it was. Oh, I thought.
No, was it not the other way around?
Yeah, no. The mother died and then the daughter died.
Oh, was it not?
Was it the other way around?
Holy shit.
That's why she died.
Oh.
They have to.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, Dr. J. No, so, it's true. No, because I, honestly, he was like, he had no appetite, he wouldn't eat, he wouldn't do, and he was just like a shell.
Yeah.
And so we were like, well, we need to get in there. We need to get like some, I don't know, if it be structure, if it just be, it's companionship really, that's what he needed. He needed someone there. And honestly, I think he probably would have struggled. No, he would have struggled. It's not even about probably he was struggling, and that's them are the sacrifices you've got to make.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's I mean he's like mid-70s now and stuff. He loves it. Yeah, he's fine now. We have the dog. Oh, the dog literally like, my God, it might as well just be stitched to him. He won't move. It's like Grandad gets up, goes anywhere. The dog's it. And I think Grandad thinks he's looking after the dog. When we go to work, I think he thinks, oh, I'm dog watching. You know, I've got this. The dog's watching him.
Yeah.
100% the dog's watching him. You know. And the other things, animals are like crazy. Though, aren't they? Because he obviously wasn't right when we first moved there. And we had the dog already. So the dog came and he knew. Dogs, they know this shit. They're just like, they're next level. He knew that he wasn't right, and he was straight away with him. Straight away, like
Dogs have that weird sixth sense.
dogs are absolute. Oh,
Dogs bollocks.
dogs bollocks. So I was talking about before about I have a cousin who's disabled, and I always remember when the dog wasn't old. He was only probably about 2, 3 at the time. And he's quite rough when he plays. He is rough. He's not quite rough. He's rough. So if you have a toy, right, and he drops a toy, if you go to pick that toy up, he's like at you, trying to pull it like it's like if it's a rope. And this is the gospel truth. Like he'd never ever done. Cousin's got cerebral palsy, right? And she came over to our house, and he dropped the toy. And she loves dogs, you know. She's got a dog of her own, so she was wanting to play with him. Dog has never ever done this in his life. To that day, since that day, only with her. Chucked the toy, stepped back, sat down, let her get it. And that's silly, right? But he knew. He was like, well, clearly, like, you know, she's not fully able-bodied, she's disabled. He just like was like, I got on and I'll let you get it. You know what I mean? And
Ghosts in the house.
yeah, he's here. So like, you know, they know that. That just the stuff like that blows my mind.
Ricky Smash.
No, I mean, I know what we when we first met each other. It's quite funny when you meet new people because you get an idea straight away, like if you're going to have that mutual bond. And we got along straight away because I think it's always good when you make a reference to something, especially like TV shows. Or
Yeah.
we know what we're going to go with. When you make a reference to TV shows or
Like what?
like
Ricky Smash.
like little niche things, and someone gets it, and you're like, oh, okay, this guy knows what I'm talking about. This guy's like similar human to me. But I mean, there's like 5-year difference between us.
Yeah.
So
When I came in and knew that reference straight away.
I was like, oh, this kid knows what's going on. This kid's funny, you know. It always is. I mean, the programs that we like to watch, like I mean, the American Dads, the Family Guys, and stuff. People that like Tyler Shite, cartoons,
Yeah.
whatever. Funny as hell.
Humour is great.
Oh, come on, man! You've got to cross the line sometimes. You know what I mean?
It gets loads of backlash, but it's just like, it's clearly designed for the niche of the people who can deal with that humour.
Yeah. Yeah.
So just leave it alone for us.
Yeah,
Don't butcher it.
leave it. Don't Fox, do not cancel it. Yeah, no, I mean he's quite funny, Seth MacFarlane though. I mean, because obviously like Ted, the movie Ted is
Yeah.
Seth MacFarlane. What a funny film.
What do you remember actually from us at the arena? The one that stands out the most, there's two. It's either when I had the purple thing around us and you were like, you look like such a reverend.
I call you Reverend. Rev.
Or it's the one that sticks out is when the bloody glass collector machine started filling with foam, and me and you ended up spending about 2-3 hours of a shift digging out all the foam.
Bucket in foam. My God, it's funny. But you know what I mean? I don't want to talk about Jay in the third person as if he's not here, but you sort of come across people in your life, and you're like, bear in mind, like I said before, there's like 5-6 year difference between me and you.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew when you come, you were just a kid.
I was only 15.
15. Makes me feel old as hell. Come on, man.
Mate,
I know.
nearly 26.
I know. Come on.
Don't be
You come in, and I was like, you just get an instant liking for people, and you were one of them type of people where you just got that friendly nature, and sometimes people will misconstrue you, and people will not understand you because they'll think it's a front.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be honest with you. I'll be straight up. People will think you're too good to be true, People will say, oh, he's fucking hell. I bet he was a dick, blah, 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 blah. He's so nice to everybody all the time. That is genuinely who you are.
Yeah.
Which is actually a really, really nice trait. I mean, that's why you said before about sending that message to all your friends and stuff. The thing about you, I could be so wrong here. Whenever you're around someone, you always make them feel better, which is like, it's a fantastic thing to have. I mean, you're what, 21?
Yeah.
21, right? I mean, we joke on, we have immaturity, we have jokes. But you're so mature for 21, and you're so in touch with your emotions and stuff, that when I was your age, I was nowhere near that.
Mm-hmm.
You are like a man at the young man's age. Not to say you're boring or anything like that. You're far from that. You really are fun. But to be able to be doing stuff like this, like, and it maybe the platform or the amount of people who do not say this may not be thousands and thousands,
Mm-hmm.
but to give people the opportunity to talk and express themselves. I mean, I've sat here, I spoke about a few things, what a bit personal, but there's some things you may not have agreed with, but at never at any point do you judge or anything, and that's I think is important to have, is your level of maturity at your age,
Mm-hmm.
to make people feel accepted for who they are, what they do. I mean, there's other stuff coming in other interviews that, you know, with other people. We don't want to talk about that.
Making him blow.
Yeah, we don't want to talk about that. Yeah, I'm going to give this kid some praise. You accept like everybody. You don't discriminate. You don't. You know. You bring everybody in. You just do your little conversation. You just set them away, and you're great because you've got it, man. You have got it. Like, and you don't realise you've got it. You sit there. You're calm. You put yourself across really, really well. And you did this from being like 16, 17 when I first knew you. But never mind now. You're 21, right? Now you've got all them years of experience, right? You're 21. The next chapter for you is what you're going to do without what you know now. I wished I knew what I knew now when I was that age. So you have the chance now. You've got that chance to really in these next 4 or 5 years before you get to like mid-20s, do it, man. And I mean, when I say stuff like do it, if you have an idea, right?
Just do it.
Yeah.
Do it! Just do it!
Just do it. No, seriously. I held back from doing things. Do it. You have a great family, right? Who will back you 100%. You have knowledge beyond your years. Don't let the fear of not losing, I don't want to go in that, but the fear of it not working.
Yeah.
You'll regret it. Trust me. And what is it? I think there's someone, you know, when you see stuff online, or you read stuff online, and this is really morbid, but think about when you're really, really old, right?
Mm-hmm.
And think about when you're in your 70s and your 80s, and you look back and you think, I wish I did that. Didn't have that. Don't have that thought.
Mm-hmm.
Do it. Really, really, I mean that, because you can't. There's something as important. There's loads of things in life that you can control, you can influence. But there's one thing that you can't get, and you can't get time back. And we are now obviously at the point of our lives where we're in our 20s, and it's meant to be a really good time,
Mm-hmm.
and it is a good time. You know, it is a good time. But you look 19. You know, it is a good time. And what we aren't doing.
It is a hard time though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What we aren't doing is we're not having the opportunity to do that because of what we've got: pandemics, virus, lockdowns. So when it's all said and done, whenever that may be, and it may be years before it comes back to normal, but as soon as you get the chance, take it. Because I know you're intelligent. You're sitting there now and you're thinking, I know I already want to do this, I know I want to do that, I want to do that. Honestly, mate, and I mean it. Con todo mi corazón, all my heart, do it.
I just think I'm sitting here thinking it's weird how you said, you know, there's a 5-year difference. We met like 5-6 years ago, and you were like, oh, I wish I was like as knowledgeable at 21 as you were. The thing was, what blows my mind is I came into the arena, yes, probably a little bit of a nice little shy kid, but most of the stuff, I said it to these two in the car, when you texted and was like, oh, I'd love to come on the talk. The first person I texted was Katie. I was like, oh my god, you have no idea who wants to come on the show. I've said this is the most important one to me, because at the arena, everything, I still talk about every single time anyone goes, oh, the arena, I was like, oh yeah, Fletcher. I've learned everything from Fletcher. I wanted to be the manager that you were to me. So when me and Dylan got the position of the manager, I was like, I want to be like Fletcher. And I've always grown and worked and be like, what would Fletcher do? And I've carried that through the entire year as I've had.
I'll tell you something. My role now, what I do is like it's management role. And there's one thing that's important, and it transfers from life to work to everything, and that's be respectful to everybody around you, and respect, if it be the hierarchy above you, who have the senior management roles, or the people who work with you and for you. Treat everybody the same with the utmost respect, and you'll be fine. And you have that because you're a respectful young man. You talk about working really hard and focusing on maybe he's doing a bit more extra hours to learn and stuff. Yeah, all that helps. That really does help. And you've got to be channeled in. Be respectful to everybody who's with you, and people will respect you for that. And what happens then is people trust you, people confide in you, and then you can do your job better. But I respect that, bro. I mean, it means a lot. It means a lot. I'm not going to get emotional.
No, yeah.
Not yet.
Since we're getting emotional, I think now's a great time to probably end the talk.
Yeah.
So thank you very much to Fletcher for coming on to the Days Let's Talk. Please give a watch to some of the other episodes, and thank you for watching. Take care.
Ciao.
Ciao, ciao.
Things on there. Are we recording?
Yeah.
Okay, we're good.
Yeah, we are.
No.
This is your episode. Maybe you.
I was like, why are you asking me? Do you know who I am?
I don't know you. Hey,
Know
Mom.
you from shit. It would just say like, who are you? I was like, Ricky Spanish.
Tell us who you are, what you do, where you're from.
Ricky Spanish.